Welcome everyone. My name is Marcella Grindy. We are going to enter a K through third classroom, and we are going to speak about autism and dyslexia. First, let's find out what autism is. It is a neurodevelopmental disorder which causes a person having trouble with communication and how they interact socially. So here are some characteristics. With communication skills, it's very hard in both verbal and nonverbal. It's hard to deal with change. It likes to repeat activities and does repeated actions. And social skills are kind of lacked, a little poor. But there's some causes. It could be genetics or environmental, and there it can be because older parents, they have a risk of having a child who has autism, and maybe there's some complications in pregnancies that they have maybe a cause of autism. There was studies that say that 1 in 36 U.S. children were diagnosed with autism, and boys are 4 times as likely to have autism than girls. And it doesn't matter what different culture, it doesn't matter who you are, it can happen to anyone. The potential effects on development. Physically, they do repeated actions, used unmatched facial expressions. They have sensitivity to sensory, so maybe some loud noises might happen, and avoid contact. Cognitively, there's a variation of autism. So it depends on who they are, because they can be in one side of a spectrum, which is very severe, to very high functional. So it depends on where they are. They could be in the middle. So just getting to know your student can really help. There has a clear knowledge of words, but with comprehension they can struggle, but they have really good memory and they are very detailed. And functionality, they can focus on topics they're interested in, but sometimes they can get stuck on a topic, and they like to have routines. Socially, they have a hard time communicating, hard to follow social cues and sarcasm, and hard to initiate with others and to make friends. What we can do in the classroom, we can use visuals, having things broken down step by step. We get to have all these descriptions, so that way they know the information. So not just saying, no, you can't do that, but maybe just explaining why. Maybe this can hurt another friend, or explaining what we're supposed to be doing little by little. That way it wouldn't be so overwhelming. And then with peers, students can get in a pair groups, so that way they won't isolate themselves, and make sure that maybe as a class speak about bullying, because sometimes students can be verbal or nonverbal and they can keep quiet and feel super frustrated. So maybe getting to have them speak about it, that way they know that they can be comfortable in the classroom and be safe. Thank you. Now we'll talk about dyslexia, and this is still for our K-3 classroom. And what is dyslexia? It's a language process disorder that students have a hard time with reading. Students cannot put what they hear and what they learn about the letters with their sounds. Here are some characteristics. It's hard to learn the sound of the letters, hard to sound out new words, slow to read because of trying to figure out what are the words. The organization sequences is difficult for students to write down their ideas, and they can't remember facts and numbers after they read the information. Some of the causes can be genetics, brain anatomy, phonological processing, rapid visual and auditory processing. And some studies say that 2.8 million students in the United States receive services for different learning disabilities, and 47.4 of these students have classifications. Potential effects on development. Physically, they might stand too close when they're speaking, hear words that are not how they're supposed to sound, use words that sound similar instead of the actual word. For cognitivity, hard to learn the alphabet. They don't understand what is being read. Learn language late and mix parts of the story. So how they have a beginning, middle, and end, they might just mix it around. And functionally, it's hard to follow direction, difficulty with symbols, hard to know how to start and going through the process of a subject. So just might feel overwhelmed with that, just not knowing what to do and just having a hard time just starting. And socially, it's hard to joke with others. They're hard to know what sarcasm is and hard to follow social rules when speaking with others. Maybe what we could do for supporting them is using assistive technology like a tape recorder or speech to text, so that way they can say it and instead of writing it. So it's still having that information, but maybe that can be easier for them. Learning their strengths and interests, having positive feedback for them, and creating a relationship with families. Maybe some things that we could also do is having smaller tasks instead of everything at once. Practice social cues and respecting others' space, using multimedia and strategies to get the information, and using videos, read-alouds, and text-to-speech, having tests orally, and giving more time. Thank you so much.